What the H is going on? A suspect has been charged in the second assassination attempt in the life or of the life of former President Donald Trump. But before I get started with this demonstration, let me read my copyright disclaimer. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, scholarship, and research. What that means is that everything that you hear in this demonstration is for entertainment and educational purposes only. Everything that you hear in the video that I call a demonstration is the opinion of mine and others. Everything that you hear in this demonstration is allegedly. Two attempted assassinations on the life of President Donald Trump in less than 2 months. Somebody wants Donald Trump up out of here. Somebody wants Donald Trump up out of here. Now, many people have voiced their opinions on this matter. Many people, believe it or not, many people feel like both assassination attempts on Trump's life was bogus. Many feel like it was fake. If you feel like these assassination attempts on Donald Trump's life was staged, is bogus, is fake, if you feel like Donald Trump is behind it, drop a 1 in the chat. Drop a 1 in the comment section for my replay game. If you feel like it's real, if you feel like the assassination attempts are definitely real, drop a 2. I feel like it's real. I feel like it's real. I felt this way about the first assassination attempt. I feel the same way about this second one. I know that somebody is definitely behind it. I just don't believe that Donald Trump is behind any of this. People say, well, Shank, he lost the presidential debate. So this is his way of getting back in good grace with the people. Nah. But you all are entitled to your own opinions. You all are entitled to how y'all feel about what's going on. As I said before, I have given you the good, the bad, and the ugly when it comes to Donald Trump. Some things with Trump, you could say, yeah, I could see him doing that. Yeah, he's probably behind this. He's probably behind that. Then other things, we just have to look at it for what it is and say, you know what? As much as I might disagree with this man, as much as I might not like this man, I doubt if this man went to that extreme to do this. As I always state in most of my demonstrations, if not all, you can probably blame an individual with some things that may be negative or may be wrong. But overall, you can't blame everything negative. You can't blame everything wrong about an individual. I know, because I get to this day, still to this day, I get blamed for things I didn't even have no knowledge of. I get blamed for things that wasn't me. And I'm sure most of y'all out there feel the same way about yourselves. You have been blamed plenty of times for things that you didn't even do. You've been accused of this. You've been accused of that. And at the end of the day, it just wasn't you. So are we blaming Donald Trump for these things that are negative? Are we blaming it for things that are wrong? Are we blaming it? Are we putting it all on Donald Trump just because we just don't like the man? I was listening to the radio today. And the radio personality, she could not come to grips with accepting that this man's life has been put in danger 2 times that we know of. She was trying to make excuse after excuse after excuse. And then when one of the radio personalities said to her, I don't like Donald Trump. I disagree with the majority of the things that Donald Trump says. But it is wrong for anyone to try to take this man's life. And this radio personality was praying to God that nothing happens to Donald Trump from this day forward. This radio personality was praying for protection for Donald Trump. But the female radio personality, she couldn't come to grips with it. Like, well, I know, and she was always making excuses. I know that you're supposed to love your neighbor. I know you're supposed to pray for your enemies. I know you're supposed to pray, but I just can't do it. I don't see nothing good in Donald Trump. And her and the other radio personality, they were going back and forth with each other. And the radio personality that were praying for Donald Trump, that radio personality said, you know what? I'm going to pray for you as well as praying for Donald Trump. And she said, nah, you don't got to pray for me. You just continue praying for Donald Trump because he's the one that needs the prayer. I don't need no prayer. If that wasn't so ignorant, I don't know what else to call it. Are we so caught up in our feelings when it comes to Donald Trump that we are losing ourselves? And that's a question for all of us. Are we so caught up with this dislike for Donald Trump? Are we losing ourselves? What we see and what we know, this man's life has been endangered 2 times that we know of. Regardless of your political views, regardless of how you may feel about this man, it's not right. It's not right to want to see something happen to this man. It's some things that you disagree with Kamala. Would you want to see something bad happen to Kamala? You wouldn't want to see anything bad happen to Kamala. So why would you want to see anything bad happen to Donald Trump? Especially, why would you want to see this man's life being taken from him? I was always taught, be the man fair and square. Don't cheat. Don't cheat. So let's let the proper process when it comes to this election, may the best candidate win. May the best candidate win. If he wins, just accept it. If he loses, just accept it. And that's for both sides. I'm speaking for both sides. I'm speaking to the Trump supporters. If Donald Trump loses this election, hey, don't resort to no violence. That's all I'm saying. If he loses, do not resort to any violence. If he wins, the non-Trump supporters, do not resort to any violence, because that's not the proper way to handle this situation. There were plenty of people that became president of the United States of America that the people did not like. And there are going to be plenty more. Y'all think that Trump is going to be the only one that you're going to have a problem with? You think that Kamala is going to be the only one that you have a problem with? That's not how this thing works. That's not how this thing works. So you have two options. You have two options when it comes to the election. You could vote for whichever candidate that you feel as though makes the best president, or you could sit it out and hold your vote. It's just that simple. If you disapprove of both candidates, just sit it out and hold your vote. But I'll say it again. It's not right to try to take anybody's life for you disagreeing with them. Y'all got to remember, someone took Dr. Martin Luther King's life. You know how messed up that was. You know how you felt about whoever it was that took Dr. Martin Luther King's life. Dr. Martin Luther King stood for what he believed was right. Y'all do know that there were people that didn't like Martin Luther King. There were many people that disliked Martin Luther King's message. We know and we feel like, regardless of if they liked his message or not, we feel like it was wrong for them to take his life. Someone assassinated John F. Kennedy. They assassinated Malcolm X. The list goes on and on and on. So if we feel as though it was wrong for them to take those people's lives, why we can't have that same feeling towards Donald Trump? Shank, you a sellout. Shank, you are advocating for a white man. I'm advocating for a man. Okay? I'm advocating for a man that he didn't deserve it. He really didn't. Because if it was Kamala, I would be advocating for Kamala. And I'm sure you all would say she's a woman. That was wrong for them to try to take her life. What's the difference? We have to overcome the racial issues that face this country. Black people have to overcome it. White people have to overcome it. Mexicans, Asians. We all have to overcome the racial issues that we're dealing with when it comes to this country. I know black people are at the bottom of the totem pole. I know. And I'm still pro-black to the core. However, when it comes to certain situations and when it comes to certain issues, black people have to be held accountable just as much as white people got to be held accountable. Me as a black man, I can't run out here in these streets and act a fool and blame it on the white supremacist system that's put in place. Me as a black man, I'm still held accountable for my actions. Make a difference what is going on in this country. I still have a part to play in this as well. We all have a part to play in being an American. I'm with the constitutional bylaws. I know all about the constitutional bylaws and how this country still consider black people as 3/4 of human beings. This Constitution is when it comes to the Constitution, it doesn't recognize us as human beings. I'm with all of that. I'm with the name black, colored, Negro, Afro-American. I'm with all of that. I know all of those names was placed on us to hold us back even more further. I'm with all that. But at the end of the day, we still have to take accountability. And that's the problem. White Americans don't want to take accountability. Black Americans don't want to take accountability. Immigrants don't want to take accountability. Nobody wants to take accountability for what's going on in this country. We all are turning a blind eye to what's going on in this country. If I'm wrong, somebody please correct me. If I'm wrong, somebody please correct me. Because I can go back in time. I can go back in time when this country wasn't faced with the issues that it's faced with today. There has always been issues in this country. Don't get it twisted. There have always been issues in this country. But the issues that we're faced with today is nowhere near what we was faced with 100 years ago, 50 years ago, 20 years ago. When you look at the children of today, and we could start right there. If we look at the children of today in this country is jacked up. There's something wrong with the children. And that's white, black, Mexican, immigrants. Hey, it don't make a difference. I know some of y'all might feel like, Shank, my child ain't jacked up. I'm not speaking on an individual level. I'm speaking in general. I'm speaking as a whole. The children are jacked up. Here in Charlotte, North Carolina, I think it was last night, in Charlotte, North Carolina, a 12-year-old boy took the life of a 16-year-old boy. A 12-year-old boy took the life of a 16-year-old boy. And I'm sure this is happening all across the United States of America. It's something wrong. It's something wrong there. At 12 years old, what about the young little girl? And y'all help me out. The young little girl took the life of her younger cousin over a cell phone. These are children that I'm talking about. See, we can turn the blind eye on a lot of things, but the children, let's just stop right there. Now, that's something that we all have in common. That's something that we all should be coming together to say, you know what? If I don't do it for myself, you know what? I got to do it for these children, because somebody, somewhere, when you was a child, somebody, somewhere, when I was a child, had enough love within them to want to see me win, to want to see you all win. When we were coming up, the elders, they dedicated their lives to us as children, as adults, as senior elders, because the elders are 30s and 40s. We are the senior elders, 50, 60 and up. What are the senior elders doing in the community? Somebody tell me. Are we participating in PTA meetings? Are we participating in recreation centers? Hell, I don't even believe that there is any more recreational centers that are still open. And I remember when I was coming up as a child, the people, we didn't have no money. We didn't have no money, but we had these recreation centers. We had these elders that cared enough about us that they sacrificed their time. They sacrificed their little pennies so that we could have after school programs. Now today, we got money. I'm speaking in as a whole. We got money. But are the people donating to these community centers? Where is the people? Kamala spoke about the people. She said that she wants to serve the people. Well, guess what? And this is in defense of Kamala, and this is in defense of Trump. See, I watch both sides beat down Donald Trump. I watched the other side beat down Kamala. But guess what? Kamala or Trump can only do but so much. We all know that. Regardless of their ideas, regardless of what we may feel they should be doing, they still got to go through the House of Congress. If I'm wrong, somebody correct me. The bill still got to get passed in the House of Congress. And regardless of what Kamala may do, regardless of what Trump may do, what about the people? What about the people? Are we going to keep pointing the finger at Kamala? Are we going to keep pointing the finger at Trump? We can. But that finger, turn that finger that way. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? Now, this second assassination attempt on Trump's life had me thinking like, wow, that's messed up. That's messed up. Because as I said, the man did not, and the man don't deserve for his life to be taken. Then you got to realize that that's stress that's put on that man. And I know, because y'all know, Trump makes me laugh. But at the end of the day, it's stress. I mean, how many of y'all have had y'all life almost taken from y'all? It's stress. The man don't deserve to be assassinated. He doesn't. Now, he has been convicted of 34 felony counts, okay? Let the courts deal with him. Now, see, whatever happens to him when it comes to the courts, then let the courts deal with him. But for us, for any of us to want to take the man's life, and for those that sit on the sideline and laugh at this man, you know, people trying to take his life, that's not right. And y'all know how I am. The Trump supporters know how I am. I call Trump out about his character. I call him out about certain things that he say out his mouth. So if I can call Trump out, I can call you, him, and her out when y'all put ill intentions towards this man. I'm just keeping it 100 with y'all. It's not right. It's not right. So if you're one of the ones that's wishing death on this man, it's wrong. If you're one of the ones that's hoping and wishing for things to happen to him, it's wrong. It's wrong. All right, let's get into the actual suspect. I want to get into the suspect that they caught. As of today, he will be charged. But let's go and hear what it is that he's going to be charged with. And let's take a deeper look into the second assassination attempt on Trump's life. Salute to everybody down there in the chat. I see y'all. I had to focus on my commentary. That's why I wasn't interacting with the chat. I see all of y'all down there. Salute. I appreciate everybody for pulling up. Can I get everybody to double tap the screen and hit the like button? We got 200 people watching with only 15 likes. Can I get everyone to double tap the screen or hit the 3 dots and hit the like button? Appreciate you.
Paraphernalia of a would-be assassin. These are the photos released by the FBI of 2 backpacks, a GoPro camera and an AK-style rifle found propped up against the fence on the outside of Donald Trump's golf course in Florida. And this is the suspect, a 58-year-old man named Ryan Wesley Routh, who has now been charged with 2 federal gun crimes in what the FBI believed was an apparent attempt to assassinate the former president as he played golf with a friend around 2 o'clock yesterday afternoon. This is Donald Trump's golf club in West Palm Beach here in Florida, where he was playing around with a financial donor friend yesterday when a gunman came within a couple of hundred yards of being able to shoot him. Donald Trump did escape uninjured, but what happened here yesterday is nothing short of incredulous, given it was the second assassination attempt on his life in just over 2 months, and comes just under 2 months before November's election, where he is running to be president. If the atmosphere between the pro and anti-Trump camps was fraught before, then this surely will up the ante further still. Here's what we know so far. This visualization on the golf course's website shows where the attempt on the former president's life became apparent, between the 5th and 6th hole, when one of his Secret Service agents, who'd gone ahead to make sure the path was clear, spotted the barrel of a rifle poking through the bushes on the perimeter fence of the golf course. The agent immediately fired shots towards the person holding the firearm, who fled in his car along the I-95 highway. The entire area was locked down and Mr. Trump taken to safety inside. The local Palm Beach County Sheriff said a witness immediately came forward.
Fortunately, we were able to locate a witness that came to us and said, hey, I saw the guy running out of the bushes. He jumped into a black Nissan, and I took a picture of the vehicle and the tag, which was great.
The car in question was pulled over at a traffic stop some 45 miles up the highway, and the man inside detained. Soon, the former president's motorcade was seen travelling back to his Mar-a-Lago resort about 10 minutes away, and shortly after, Mr. Trump issued a characteristically defiant statement. There were gunshots in my vicinity, but before rumours start spiralling out of control, I wanted you to hear this first. I am safe and well. Nothing will slow me down. I will never surrender. The sentiment exactly the same as when the former president was shot at on July the 13th during a rally in Pennsylvania, when he famously emerged with a bloodied ear and a defiant fist in the air.
So as we know, that was the first assassination attempt, and he was injured. His ear got injured. He got popped in the ear. So I'm glad that they were able to spot. I'm glad that they were able to locate this second assassination attempt suspect and apprehend him. I'm glad for that.
Mouthing the words, fight, fight, fight. As they did then, Republicans have quickly rallied round the former president. The House Speaker, Mike Johnson, who was on his way to Mar-a-Lago at the time of the incident yesterday, praised the former president as unstoppable. The attack was also quickly condemned by his presidential rival, Kamala Harris, who said she was glad Trump was safe and said the incident must not lead to more.
And that's a good thing. A big shout out to Kamala Harris, because I'm sure she don't want to see anything happen to Donald Trump. It's no need for. It's no need for. If Kamala is sure that she's going to win, and it looks like a good chance that she is going to beat him in the presidential election, it's no need for her to dislike this man. It's no need for her to want to see any harm happen to this man. And for anyone that's a non-Trump supporter, you know that Kamala has a hell of a chance of beating Trump. So you definitely shouldn't be wishing for anything to happen to this man.
Or violence. But politicians, including President Biden, have raised questions about the Secret Service, still reeling from its failure to prevent the previous assassination attempt.
Thank God the president's okay. I think we got a full report so far. We're down there tonight. One thing I want to make clear, the service needs more help.
Whether it gets that extra funding, the question remains how Ryan Wesley Routh, a troubled man seen here in Ukraine, managed to get within a couple of hundred yards of the former president with a rifle outside a golf course where court documents allege he spent 12 hours before being confronted. One for barricading himself in a building in 2002 with...
So as y'all can see, and as y'all hear, he's no stranger to the law. He's no stranger to the law. He was even seen in Ukraine. Let me backtrack, y'all, as they give y'all a brief demonstration on the suspect.
Whether it gets that extra funding, the question remains how Ryan Wesley Routh, a troubled man seen here in Ukraine, managed to get within a couple of 100 yards of the former president with a rifle outside a golf course where court documents allege he spent 12 hours before being confronted. All the more alarming since Routh had a long history of criminal charges, including one for barricading himself in a building in 2002 with a machine gun over a traffic stop. Routh had been critical of Donald Trump on social media, even though he'd voted for the former president in 2016.
All right, let's stay right there, y'all. Let's chop it up. I will interact with the chat. So if y'all have any questions, if y'all have any comments, send them. Let's go. I will interact with the chat. Now, according to them, he voted for Trump in 2016. What went wrong? I see y'all down there. Aunt Esther, 80s baby, Miss Parker, Yana, I think that's right. I see y'all. What went wrong? Aunt Esther says he voted for Trump in 2016. Oh yeah, he got serious issues. Now we're talking about once before Trump supporter. Now, my message to the Trump supporters. If you voted for the man before, what is your issue now? This was a former Trump supporter. Novak says Trump and JFK both want peace. What was the issue? What do y'all think the issue was? Enlighten me, Combat Donkey. Combat Donkey says, I can't believe you still listen to the mainstream media. So stupid, straight up ignorant. Enlighten me. Enlighten me. Stay stupid, I ain't helping you. Well, that makes you more stupider than I am, because I always thought that it was each one teach one. That's what I always thought. Now, I'm ignorant in your perspective. I'm ignorant on some things, but you won't educate me on it. So what does that make you? See, once again, the feelings and the emotions that we get caught up in when we hear people speaking, and if we disagree with it, instead of us dialoguing with them, instead of us having a decent conversation with them, we automatically deem them as being dumb. We automatically deem them as being stupid just because we don't feel or we don't believe the same way that that person feel or believe. You don't know what I know. I might know the same things that you know. I might know a little more than what you know. And see, this kind of atmosphere, what this Combat Donkey is doing, this is what breeds individuals like this suspect. Because I'm sure the reason why he attempted to assassinate Donald Trump was because he felt some kind of way. We know he had to feel some kind of way, but had he reached out and spoken with somebody, then maybe it could have stopped him from making this dumb mistake that he made. I see you, Ordinary Woman. Ordinary Woman says he didn't do anything for the military like they thought. I don't know if this guy was in the military, but a lot of his supporters are mad at him. Appreciate that, Ordinary Woman. And I do believe that he has some kind of military affiliation, because I know if y'all notice that picket sign that he was holding, his shirt that he was holding when he was in Ukraine, the suspect, he was mentioning something about the military. I appreciate that comment, Ordinary Woman. I see you, Perk. I see you, Perk. 80s baby. Now you see how well Ordinary Woman explained that to everybody. It was just that simple. And that's what I'm saying. That's what we need. We need to be able to give our perspective. We need to be able to give the information that we have that others may not have. We don't need to call people stupid. We don't need to call people dumb. We don't need to call people ignorant, because at the end of the day, that makes you more stupider and more dumber as well as ignorant than the people or person that you're calling that to. You could do the exact thing that Ordinary Woman done. You could give us some facts, or you could give us your opinion. 9 times out of 10, especially over here, 9 times out of 10, we'll agree with you and say, you know what? I didn't look at it like that. I appreciate you giving your point of view. Now, you might be new coming over here, so you might not know the atmosphere. So what you need to do is just hang around for about 5 minutes before you comment. Hang around for about 5 minutes, check the temperature in the room, and see that over here on this platform, it's an opinionated platform. Everybody's perspective is welcome. But don't come in here on no foolishness. Now, today, I'm going to do my best not to get on one. All right? So I'm going to let you get a pass. But don't push me. All right? Because I'll get on one and I'll run. Let me backtrack. Let me smile. All right? I ain't going to feed into the trolls. I ain't going to feed into the negative energy. I got my moderators down there that can handle it for me. And I got the Rock Squad down there. Moderators and Rock Squad, handle these trolls that come through. Can y'all do that for me? Because I don't want to get on one today. Let's get back to my man. Let's get back. Everyone's opinion and everyone's perspective on the matter is welcome. Feel free to voice your opinion. Please, please don't use any profanity. That's all we ask over here. That's all we ask. Voice your opinions, but please don't use no profanity in the chat.
The suspect appeared in court this morning where he was charged with 2 federal counts of possessing a firearm as a felon and possessing a firearm with an obliterated serial number. This assassination attempt now contained, but in a presidential campaign as divisive as this, with a country as on edge, keeping both candidates protected has overnight become an even bigger challenge.
Well, in the last hour or so, body cam footage of the moment that the suspect was hauled from his car and arrested has been released. He's been charged, as we said, with 2 counts, but it is very likely that more charges will be added in the days and weeks as the investigation continues. It might be difficult, though, for the FBI to charge Mr. Routh with any form of attempted assassination against President Trump, because it appears not only was he several hundred yards away from the former president, but he doesn't seem to have taken any shots, at least none that the FBI have told us about. It is very unlikely, though, that he will make bail at his hearing next Monday, because he will likely be deemed a flight risk and a danger to the community.
So he won't be charged with anything severe because he was unable to let off any rounds. You know, so it's a good thing that they did catch him before he was able to let off any rounds. So as they stated, he's going to probably receive bail, and he's definitely probably going to bond out on that bail.
And Siobhan, tell us what's being said about possible motive.
Well, not much at the moment. You mentioned Ukraine there earlier, but it is not clear why this man would have wanted to shoot President Trump. He had reportedly recently written on his Twitter account that democracy is on the ballot in the November election, echoing very much what the president and the vice president say. That is clearly what Donald Trump believes. He chimed in today, was quoted on the Fox News website, blaming the president and the vice president for the second assassination attempt, saying that because of their rhetoric, he said, the bullets are flying and it will only get worse. I think there is a very real fear that all this could lead to an uptick in political violence, not just on a local level, but also potentially against both candidates as they crisscross their way around America, campaigning between now and November.
Drop a one in the chat. Drop a one in the chat if y'all feel like things is only going to get worse. Drop a one in the chat if y'all feel like things are only going to get worse.
Siobhan Kennedy. Well, joining me now from Princeton College is an award-winning American journalist and visiting senior editor at The Economist, Steve Coll. I mean, it does seem that political violence is now one of the defining features of this campaign.
I think you're right. It has been a long time, since 1968, that we've had such active assassination attempts during a presidential campaign, and the atmosphere, of course, is quite heated on both sides. The candidates and their followers believe that a victory by their opponent poses an existential threat to American democracy or our way of life, and that kind of language has been around for a long while. Of course, in calmer times, America is plagued by assassination attempts against presidential candidates and other politicians. There's been a massive increase in investment in the Secret Service, and yet, as we've seen just this morning with President Biden's comments, the capacity of the service to deal with all these threats is still short of their scale.
The first assassination attempt on Donald Trump didn't seem to last as a sort of either a media story or a campaign feature. It was sort of almost all over in 5 days as his ear healed. Now, what do you think happens with this second apparent attempt? Before I get into his answer on what he thinks of this second assassination attempt, let me read Martin's super chat. Appreciate that super chat, Martin. Martin says, I'm just nervous about what happens after the election, regardless who wins. I'm with you, Martin, and I think the majority of us feel the same way as you feel. Because for me, I believe that if he wins, definitely we seen what happened this time with the second assassination attempt. So I feel like if he wins, that's definitely going to make someone or have someone to try another attempt on his life. And if he loses, then, there are going to be those that are going to be mad. And maybe a possibility they might go after Kamala. So I'm with you, Martin. Drop a 3. Drop a 3 in the chat if y'all feel the same way that Martin feels. Let me read Martin super chat again. Martin says, I'm just nervous about what happens after the election, regardless who wins. Drop a 3 if y'all feel like Martin. Appreciate that super chat, Martin.
Say there was a rallying effect around President Trump among his supporters, and they're competing, President Trump and Vice President Harris, they're competing for what is at this point a pretty small sliver of genuinely undecided voters who will actually turn up at the polls. And I think these are voters who tend to pay attention late in a campaign, and if there's another rallying effect around President Trump, if he's seen as determined and defiant and sort of able to cheat death, maybe that will attract some of these undecideds. But I think a lot of the electorate is pretty locked into their positions. The danger is that their competition and the heated intensity of it is going to invite more people into the public square with guns and rifles. As you know, guns are ubiquitous in the United States. I think our ratio of unsettled, troubled people prone to violence may not be higher than that of other rich societies, but the easy access to gun makes all kinds of people potentially dangerous, especially down the stretch of a campaign like this one.
It's also interesting seeing how Donald Trump calibrates his messages to different audiences. If you look on X or Twitter, in the last hour, he's been talking about the difficulties of talking to his grandchildren about attempts on his life. If you look on Truth Social, where the real diehards are, he talked about the rhetoric and lies of Comrade Kamala Harris, talks about the communist left rhetoric, the bullets are flying and it will only get worse. If this is down to a very small number of people deciding how they're going to vote at the beginning of November, I mean, do you think any of these messages reach them?
I think Donald Trump is a very intuitive and also a very effective communicator, and he is, a performer who has a sense of how to communicate simultaneously to different audiences, and you pointed it out. I think being shot at and missed is a human experience, and his own kind of vulnerability after the attack in July was part of what created the rallying effect, the bandage on his ear, and his own kind of slightly being a little bit unsettled by being shot at and having such a close call. This time around, it wasn't quite as vivid an attack, and I'm not even sure that the man under arrest got a shot off, but he has learned how to communicate.
Let me come to y'all real quick. I'll go back to him. Let me come to y'all real quick, because I wasn't able to get to the comment. I wasn't able to get to it, but one of y'all down there in the chat made mention that perhaps Donald Trump needs to step down. How do y'all feel about that? I'll take a few comments. How do y'all feel about this? Is this a sign to Donald Trump that maybe he should step down from running? Drop a 7 in the chat if you feel like Donald Trump should step down from running for president. Let me know how y'all feel. Is this a sign for Donald Trump to say, maybe I should step down, because this is two assassination attempts on my life? Maybe I need to step down. Ordinary Woman dropped the 7. I can't pronounce the name, but he says, foreigner, Donald Trump shouldn't step down. Get him out by the ballot through democracy. Okay? I see you, Miss MJB. Salute. I see you. Truth says they go to the White House after he wins. Sabrina, I see you, Sabrina. Sabrina says he is not a well man, because I'm looking, and maybe he should take in consideration. Shatise, I see you, Shatise. Shatise says a complete time for him to abort all fears and step up continually. Okay? Truth says, who's not a well man? Macton says, nope. Martin giving me another super chat. Martin says, heck no. He should keep fighting. I'm curious why they are not so bent on keeping him out. He was president before and did a decent job, in my honest opinion. How many of y'all feel the same way that Martin feels? Let me read Martin's comment again. Martin says, heck no. He should keep fighting. I'm curious why they are so bent on keeping him out. He was president before and did a decent job. I think, and this is my opinion, Martin, and everybody, this is my perspective on it. Trump is not afraid to tell it how it is. And I do believe the majority of us, even Democrats, even those that may disagree with Trump on other things, I believe that majority of the people feel like Trump tells it like it is. So I think whoever it is that's in charge somewhere do not want Trump speaking out, because if he hasn't already said something that somebody didn't want him to say, he's going to have 4 years at it again. And this time around, he might say something that they don't want him to say. That's my perspective on it. Donald Trump is known. He's known for saying, if y'all can read between the lines, he's known. He showed us that. And that's one thing that I do like about Trump. I do like that about Trump. Trump is not afraid to call a spade a spade. As Shati says, he knows a whole lot. And he ain't afraid to tell what he knows. Let me finish up with my man, and then we're going to jump to somebody else.
Successfully about his own vulnerability, and his supporters have created a narrative of martyrdom that reinforces their message that there's something special about Donald Trump's calling as a leader in the United States, and that more people should follow him. And the United States has a very deep spiritual and religious tradition, and a lot of Trump's followers are not hesitant to compare him to Jesus Christ, sort of on the cross and suffering for the good of his following. And some of us may not connect with that message, but a lot of Americans do.
Steve Cole, thank you very much indeed.
How many of y'all feel that way? Does Donald Trump have a special calling? Or I mean, not say special. Does Trump have a godly calling? Is it something? Is it something about Trump? Could Trump be doing God's work? Does God have his hand on Trump? Ever since I was little, I've always heard this: God works in mysterious ways. I've always heard that. God works in mysterious ways. I've also heard, and I've witnessed, God can turn a negative situation into a positive situation. Martin says, I don't know. His escaping death is starting to convince me. Martin has been dropping some jewels. Appreciate the super chat. How many of y'all feel like Martin? Martin says, I don't know. He's escaping death. His escaping death is starting to convince me. And all through the Bible, there were men and women that the world despised of, the world looked down upon, even Jesus Christ himself. All through the Bible, well, the New Testament, the Pharisees, the scribes, the leaders of the world were always pointing out negative things when it came to Jesus Christ. Now, God, I'm not going to go deep with it. I'm going to just stay right here. God used Jesus Christ to save the world, save the people. John the Baptist. I believe John the Baptist was a renegade. I believe John the Baptist was cutting people's heads off. And there were many other men and women. I don't want to go into the Bible with this demonstration, but y'all get my point. There were many of men and women through the Bible that God used, and even in modern time. Malcolm X was a former pimp and a hustler, right? Malcolm X's teacher, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, only had a 3rd grade education. So there were many men and women that God used to do his work. There were men and women of different nationalities. There were black men and women that was ordained by God. There were white men and women that was ordained by God. There were Mexican, there were Italian. Y'all get the point. There were many men and women of all faiths. There were men and women that practiced Islam that God used to do his work. Men and women of Christianity. Men and women of Judaism. Y'all get the point. Gandhi. So it doesn't have to be the successful person according to society. And many of us get it twisted because many of us look towards the people with degrees. We look towards the people with education. We look towards the people of the world, to lead us. But in all actuality, the real leaders are the less fortunate ones. So you might look at Donald Trump, and you might look at Donald Trump in a perspective that's really not God's perspective. For all my religious people, for all my biblical scholars out there, Donald Trump, and I'll take y'all comments on this, Donald Trump, strong possibility, could be doing the will of God. Yes, Kamala Harris could be doing the will of God as well. I won't take from Kamala. I'm not here to take from either one. So if you think that I'm going to raise Trump up here and have Kamala down here, if you think I'm going to raise Kamala up here and have Trump down here, that's not what I do. I take Kamala, I take Trump, and I give you all the good, the bad, and the ugly from both of them. Because in my opinion, and it's just my opinion, that's the only way that I'm able to get a clear understanding of both candidates. That's the only way that I can see exactly what it is that I need to see from both candidates. If I come in and I'm only focusing on Trump being up here, then anything that Kamala brings, I'm not going to see it because I'm so focused on Trump and what Trump got going on. Vice versa. If I got Kamala up here and Trump down here, I ain't focusing on what Trump is bringing to the table. Now, let's go deeper. We're going to go deeper. When I first got into this whole political demonstration, because this is going to be my first time voting. This is going to be my first time voting. One of the things that stuck in my mind was people were saying shank. Democrat, Republican belong to the same bird, just different branches, but they belong to the same bird. Drop a 4 if I'm on the right path. All right. Now, I'm a student and y'all are my teachers. So I need y'all to teach me. Now I'm going to give y'all what I learned so far. And y'all correct me if I'm wrong. Drop a 4. Drop a 4. If what I'm saying is to be true. Democrat, Republican belong to the same bird, just different branches. Drop a 4. Let me know. Birds of the same feathers, win or lose, Trump will cause havoc. Right wing and left wing belong to the same bird. I got a 4. Okay, I got some 4s. Now they say, because this was before Kamala, I believe this was 2 years ago. So this was before Kamala. Kamala was the vice president. Let me make sure. Yeah, Kamala was the vice president. It might even be before Biden became president. But I think, okay, Trump and Biden was running against each other. And they said, and y'all correct me if I'm wrong, remember, y'all are my teachers. They say, when it comes to Trump or Biden, when it comes to which one, Democrat or Republican, they said that you have to choose the lesser of two evils. Remember, I'm a student and y'all are my teachers. Did they inform me correct? Is that true? Is it, when it comes to the voting, are we choosing the lesser of two evils? Drop a 5. Drop a 5. See, I listen very well. Unlike a lot of y'all. A lot of y'all don't like to listen. But the old man, I listen very well. And I pay attention very well. And sometimes I'll have the answer to a particular question, but for reinsurance, I'll throw it out there just to see. So I want everybody to know that's been teaching me. I've been listening. I'm going to grab a few comments and then I'm going to slide off. Tony Stark says 4, but you forgot the word establishment. It's establishment. Republicans and establishment Democrats are two sides of the same coin. Joshua says, yes, he has talked about abortion ban. And if it was black and white, he probably would rather have it that way. But he respects our rights and is trying to let us decide. Hackman says they both going to the same party. Joshua says, so we all could still choose to have it be okay or move to a state where it is. Rainbow to God says 2. Willie, I see you, Willie. Willie dropped the 5. Okay, so it's choosing the least lesser or choosing the lesser of the two evils. So now if that's the case, salute Jen. I see you, Jennifer. Jennifer says, make sure you get out and vote. That's the path that I'm on, Jennifer. Ordinary Woman says, I'm not moving, dude. Shati says, it's like picking who's best for the people or less evil than the other. All right. So I'm on the right path. Now, this assassination attempt on Trump's life. Let's talk about it, okay? Why do y'all feel, for those that feel like it was fake, for y'all that feel like Trump set this up, can somebody explain to us what would make Trump set it up? All right, Ordinary Woman, I like your last comment. Ordinary Woman says it's fake. Help me understand why you think it was fake, because I feel like that it was real. I feel like it was real. A fact is a fact says establishment is right. There are a few good people serving in government, but most are establishment. The truth dropped the 4. Jennifer says this is getting crazy. They aren't going to stop till they get him. Correct, Jennifer. Do you feel like Trump should step down? Or do y'all think that his security needs to be tight? I mean, see, I look at it like on both attempts, how, especially the first attempt, but even the second attempt, they said my man, they said he was in the bushes at the golf course for 12 hours. Nobody peeped him. Nobody seen it. Shati says, it's real to me. Some will keep trying or in the latter give up. Seth says they both were real and we only have a few more months. I think this will happen again, even not till they are done. Salute, salute, beautiful. I see you, salute, beautiful. Effect says they owe it to the people who voted for him to protect his life. Jen says no, but man, he's got to truly believe in what he's doing. Ordinary Woman says, how did they know he was in the bushes? Good question. Will says it's the higher ups who want Donald out of here. Martin says, Ordinary Woman won't be able to have a conversation. Some people simply can't, and it's not their fault. Josh says, as long as the person in charge doesn't take the people's states' rights to align with what laws they want, I'm okay. I don't like how Kamala wants to make a federal bill that make all states have to. Will says Trump. Hackman says the Simpsons show him in a casket. Wow. Wow. Shati says conspiring to halt his agenda and what he knows about and will reveal to the people. I'm hoping that that Simpson episode don't come true. I wouldn't want to see Trump, Kamala, Biden, Hillary, Obama. I wouldn't want to see none of them in the casket. I wouldn't, you know, because to me, and this is what I'm saying when it comes to the assassination attempts on Trump's life. You don't like the man? You got a problem with the man? Fine, that's cool. Like I say, if I took the life of everybody, if I was worrying about taking the life of everybody that I disapproved of, if I went after everybody that done something to me, it'd be a lot of people in the dirt. I would be looking at a lot of years in prison. And I'm sure the same thing applies to all of y'all. We all, not just me, not just politicians, we all encounter people that we dislike. We all encounter people that have done something to us. We all listen to people that we just don't agree with their views. But is that a legitimate reason to try to take their lives? No. Like I said, look at the many people that were assassinated for standing up for what they believed in. That's what this country has been going through for the last 400 plus years. People standing up for what's right. And I said it in a previous demonstration. It's no longer a black thing. It's no longer a white thing. It's no longer a man thing, a woman thing. It's no longer an agenda thing. All of those things that many of us grew up on goes out the window today. Today, it's a people's thing. This is my perspective on things. You're going to have the Muslim, the Christian, the Gentiles. You're going to even have the atheists. You're going to have the men, the women, the children. You're going to have in this body, in this community, for things to become better, it's going to take you, me, her, him, you in the back, you in the middle, you up front. It's going to take all of us. If I'm wrong, somebody correct me. I could be wrong. I could be wrong. But I'm 52 years old. And I've been around for 52 years. I've seen some things. And my perspective, it's going to take all of us to make a change. And we have to make a change for the children. Nah, I ain't saying the person that's perfect. I ain't saying because you got a criminal record, you can't help out. I'm not saying because you owe child support, you can't help out. I owe child support. I'm not saying that you have to be this perfect man or this perfect woman to make a change. That's not what I'm saying. It's going to be people from the LBGT community that's involved in making this change. It's going to be people in general to make this change. Why? Because the last time that I checked, America is a melting pot. It's a melting pot here. So I'm looking for whoever it is that becomes president. I'm looking for the president to make things better for all of us. Many of y'all have issues with black people wanting reparations. Many of y'all have problems with black people wanting things, period. Well, I got news for y'all. If y'all don't see that the Ronald Reagan gave the Japanese Americans in 1985, if y'all don't see that they were granted reparations, if y'all don't see that the Jewish community were granted reparations for the Holocaust that didn't happen on the United States of America soil. If y'all can't see today in California alone, some people want to argue, Shank, it wasn't 150,000 that they got in California. Man, I wouldn't care if it was $2 that the immigrants got in California. My point is, why are everyone that come to this country, why do they receive civil rights that black people fought for? Why is it that they get all these benefits? Now, this is for you white people as too. The white people are getting overlooked today by these immigrants. White people ain't getting 150K in California. White people ain't getting all these different benefits that the immigrants get. Do y'all realize that the immigrants aren't even citizens of this country, and they're receiving more than America's own citizens? They don't even give the veterans. Let's take race away. All right? They don't even give the veterans what they give these illegal immigrants. They don't even give the homeless. Ordinary woman says they don't even pay taxes. So now, if you don't see anything wrong with that, because I stated, it ain't a black thing no more. It ain't a white thing no more, because the white people don't even get what the immigrants get. When you look at white people deserve just as much as the immigrants get. Black people deserve just as much as the immigrants get. The legal immigrants that been in this country and done it the right way, they deserve more than the illegal immigrants. Let's take black and white out of the equation. What about the legal immigrants that have been in this country for years? They don't even get what the legal immigrants get. The legal immigrants have been in this country and they've been struggling and they've been paying taxes for many of years. So now you got the legal immigrants, you got the illegal immigrants coming and getting more benefits than the legal immigrants that been in this country, done it the right way. I do believe that for most Americans, we don't really have a problem with the immigrants. We just want the immigrants to be held accountable, and we want the same bar that's held for us. We want it to be held for the immigrants as well. If America is really the melting pot that it's supposed to be. All right? Now, I'm going to stay away from the reparations for black people because that's a quick way for me to get on one. And when it comes to those reparations and I get on one, most likely I'm going to run everybody up out of the chat. All right? But y'all can continue to talk about the reparations for black people. But when it comes to reparations for black people, I will get on one so fast and I'll run all of y'all up out of this chat. Because I know what I know when it comes to reparations. Are you arguing about the Japanese Americans receiving reparations in 1985? Many of y'all didn't even know that. And for those that do know, what are your thoughts on that? So what's the difference from the Japanese Americans receiving reparations compared to black Americans receiving reparations? Last time I checked, and this is why I really fucks with Donald Trump. Because if you listen to Donald Trump even said it himself when he advocates for black Americans. See, I don't know what y'all see when y'all look at Donald Trump, but I see and I hear Donald Trump trying to make it better for all of us. But y'all remember when Donald Trump said what he said? He said that the black Americans have been overstepped. He said the black Americans built this country. Did he or did he not say it? If I'm lying, somebody correct me. Martin says they should have paid out repercussions right after the war was over. So Is it fair for a couple group of people to receive reparations and another group don't get it? Y'all got to remember now exactly what Black Americans contribute to this country. Y'all got to remember what Black Americans still continue to contribute to this country. And I know, as Bernie Mac said, my people got problems. I know. I'll be the first to raise my hand. And I'll tell y'all all about Black people's issues that we have. Some of us can be so ignorant. Some of us can be so ghetto. Some of us can act like we out of our minds. Some Black people just ain't ish. I'll be honest with you. And I'm Black. I'll be first one to tell you, my people got issues. My people is hard-headed. You could tell a Black person that it's raining outside, they'll take they Black ass outside and come back in and say, Shank, it ain't raining outside, it's pissing outside. So I'm all aware of the many issues that Black Americans have. We got issues. We ain't right. We got a lot of in-house cleaning to do. So I'm with it. But at the end of the day, so does all the other nationalities. See, so we ain't the only ones that have to do better. We all have to do better. It's what I'm trying to get across. I'm trying to get across that in order for this thing to work, we all have to let go of the past. I do believe Black Americans have to let go of the past. I didn't say forget the past. I would never tell Black Americans to forget the past, but I do agree. We do have to let go of the past and move forward. White Americans, y'all have to let go of the past too. So what I'm trying to get across again, is a people's thing. And we all have to come to the table and we just have to come correct. And we have to look at each other as family. We have to look at each other as wanting the best for my neighbor, the best for this and that I want for myself. You're going to still have some prejudiced people on both sides. You're going to have some Mexicans that hate Black. You're going to have some Mexicans that hate whites. Vice versa. That just is there. Is there. But in order to make this thing work, we're going to have to build together. I'm not going to hold y'all that much longer. Give me a few seconds. I got 2 more clips that I want to go to, and then I'm going to let y'all get out of here. What? I've never owned slaves. My state never had slaves. Okay, now this is for reparations, and this is for everybody that feel like my people ain't never had no slaves. I ain't never owned no slaves. And that may be true. But do you realize that the United States of America in 1985 gave the Japanese Americans reparations? Where was your ass at, reparations? Your ass should have been giving Black people reparations with your raggedy ass. Now, I already told y'all about reparations and when it comes to reparations. Now, your raggedy ass still want to keep pushing the narrative that your raggedy ass ain't had slaves. Do you say that to the Japanese Americans that got reparations in 1985? Do you say that to the Holocaust survivors that continue to get reparations? Do you say that to the immigrants that's getting $150K in California? So I need you to take your raggedy reparations ass up out of my chat. Now I done told y'all, leave the old man alone. I done told y'all. I got 2 more clips and then I'm gonna let y'all get out of here. Shang, I ain't never owned no slaves. Man, if you don't get your raggedy reparation ass up out of here. I try not to, Jennifer. I try not to. I think they like to see the old man get on one. But this suspect that has been accused in the second assassination attempt on Donald Trump, he had previous run-in with the law. Give me 2 seconds, y'all. Like I said, I'm not going to hold y'all that much longer. All right.
After reports of gunshots described to have been fired in his vicinity. Local officials in Palm Beach in Florida say it happened in the grounds of his golf course while he was playing. An AK-47 assault rifle has apparently been recovered and a man is in custody while Tom Bateman is live in Washington with the very latest for us now. Tom, what more have you got?
Well, what is clear so far, Clive, is that this happened 3 hours ago as Donald Trump was playing golf. He was said to be between holes at his private course on West Palm Beach in Florida. Now, law enforcement officials say that multiple gunshots were heard at that moment, and the Secret Service detail that was protecting him at the time returned fire. There was a suspect that was seen and then seemed to flee, to run away from the scene. Now, law enforcement officials say they have recovered a weapon and a scope from the scene there, and they are at the moment around a wooded area on the edge of that golf course. Now, separately, the local sheriff in West Palm County says that they closed the interstate highway after this, trying to find what they described as a suspect. They have stopped a car and detained a person that they say is of interest. That person now in the custody of the FBI, and the car itself is being searched. Now, what had been unclear until a few moments ago is whether or not Donald Trump was the intended target of this apparent shooting. Some US media were reporting unnamed law enforcement officials saying that he was the intended target, but that matter seems to have been cleared up in the last few minutes as the FBI have put out a very short statement saying that they are investigating this as an attempted assassination of Donald Trump. What that means is we have now witnessed what is potentially the second attempt on the former president's life during this election campaign. Remember, it was just over 2 months ago that a 20-year-old man tried to kill him at a rally in Butler, Pennsylvania. That led to the resignation of the director of the Secret Service over failures in that. Now, Donald Trump himself, his motorcade has been seen leaving the resort there and heading to Mar-a-Lago, which is just a few miles away, his resort in Florida. And Donald Trump himself has given a short statement in a campaign fundraising email. He has said there were gunshots in my vicinity, but before the rumors spiral out of control, I wanted you to hear this. I am safe and well. Nothing will slow me down. He says, I will never surrender.
Is the Secret Service at fault for these assassination attempts? What are y'all thoughts? Is the Secret Services trying to tell Trump something? What are y'all thoughts? 2 failed assassination attempts. 2. What are y'all thoughts?
Brian Abel joins us from Florida with new details that we're learning today. Brian.
Hey, Melissa. Yeah, affidavit filed in court today shows that an FBI agent says cell phone data of the suspect showed that he may have been in this area for upwards of 12 hours before that confrontation with the Secret Service. That is just one piece of evidence that investigators are looking at to determine some big questions, including did he truly know that the former president would be here when he was, and did he act alone?
His facial affect was so flat.
Keep walking!
His demeanor was relaxed.
The sheriff of Florida's Martin County describing the moment Ryan Wesley Ralph was taken into custody Sunday for what investigators believe was an apparent assassination attempt on former President Donald Trump at his West Palm Beach golf course.
It looked like somebody that just left the church picnic and was on his way home.
Instead, Ralph was on his way to jail. And Monday morning, he was officially charged with 2 federal counts, including possession of a firearm while a convicted felon and for having a weapon with an obliterated serial number. Court observers say Ralph indicated to the judge that he couldn't afford his own attorney. His public defender declined to comment. Prosecutors want Ralph, who owns a small construction business in Hawaii, detained until trial, calling him a flight risk. That hearing is set for next week. Public records show Ralph has been involved in a number of court cases since the 1990s. On social media, Ralph is an outspoken Trump critic.
So he's been breaking the law since the 90s. He's been breaking the law since the 90s.
Since the 1990s. On social media, Ralph is an outspoken Trump critic and a fervent supporter of Ukraine, even traveling to Kyiv in 2022.
How did this man, who already had some convictions for barricading himself with a weapon, have access to weapons of war that I was trained on when I was in the military?
Is this guy part of a conspiracy? Is he a lone gunman? If he's part of a conspiracy, then this whole thing really takes on a very ominous tone.
What are y'all thoughts? What are y'all thoughts? Do he belong to a larger conspiracy? Was there any connection? Could there be any connection between him and the first guy that pulled off the first assassination attempt? Is it bigger than what we believe? Is it bigger than what we even know?
And we will see Roth in court next for a detention hearing. That is on September 23rd. Then he will be arraigned on September 30th, and he will remain in jail that entire time. Melissa?
And Brian, prosecutors say it to be difficult to charge the suspect the crime against Trump specifically. Why is that?
Well, according to some experts that we talked to, it's because of that distance between the suspect and the former president Trump. With that distance being about 300 to 500 yards, it may be difficult to prove that he was aiming at the former president. So that is why he is being charged, will likely be charged, and this is where this investigation will really go, is him pointing the weapon at the Secret Service agent that fired at him instead. That is much more easily provable in court.
Can you tell us more about his previous arrests?
Yeah, we do know that there was some of the items found, the SKS-style rifle with a scope and that obliterated serial number. Those are issues because of the previous arrests, but those were all...
Who is this man? Who is this man? This man in 2016 actually voted for Trump. In 2016, this man actually voted for Trump. What happened?
Also unsealed in court documents, and we are learning that that weapon that is similar to an AK-47, that wasn't the only thing that he had. He also had with him ceramic tiles. Those are for bullet-resistant vests. And he had a scope with him as well, and then he had 2 bags also. So those are all big pieces of the investigation. Melissa?
Hey, that's Brian Abel reporting for us in Florida. Thank you, Brian.
Is this a bigger conspiracy? I will even ask the question, could Trump be actually behind it? Because when you think about it, the first assassination attempt, I'm surely thinking that earshot, I'm surely under the assumption that if he really wanted to get Trump in the head, I'm sure that he could have easily hit him in the head. This last attempt, right? I got something breaking, y'all. All right, let's see.
With firearms offenses related to an incident which occurred yesterday at Trump International Golf Course right here in West Palm Beach. Ralph was charged federally with possession of a firearm by a convicted felon and possession and receipt of a firearm with an obliterated serial number. He had his initial appearance today before Magistrate Judge Ryan McCabe in the federal courthouse in West Palm Beach.
The FBI immediately responded to the scene here in West Palm Beach, Florida, and we are investigating this matter as an apparent assassination attempt of former President Trump. We view this as extremely serious and are determined to provide answers as to what led up to the events which took place. I want to emphasize we're just a little over 24 hours into this investigation, so we're going to provide as much as we can publicly while our investigation is still ongoing. We must also stress that the United States Attorney's Office is pursuing charges, and that limits some of the details that we can discuss publicly. Yesterday afternoon, Martin County Sheriff's Office took custody of Ryan Routh, and he was transported back to Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office. Our FBI agents then attempted to interview him, and he invoked his right to an attorney. In the last 24 hours, the FBI and our partners have been dedicated to investigating the incident and utilizing all available resources. These efforts have included our investigative team and the United States Attorney's Office for the Southern District of Florida, in conjunction with DOJ's National Security Division, are actively working hand in hand to pursue and subsequently execute search warrants. Thus far, the warrants include a video recording device, subjects' cellular devices, a vehicle, and other electronic devices located at previous known addresses. We are coordinating with the United States Secret Service to complete numerous interviews of agents on scene. We have also interviewed 7 civilian witnesses at the scene, and that is just the beginning. Our FBI's Honolulu and Charlotte field offices have initiated interviews of several family members, friends, and former colleagues of the subject. FBI has deployed several specialty teams and assets from FBI headquarters and our lab division in Quantico to include evidence and critical incident response personnel. The evidence response team is collecting and processing multiple evidentiary items. These range from the rifle, which is an SKS model with a scope and obliterated serial numbers, to 2 bags, the subject's electronics, and what appears to be ceramic tiles. DNA has also been collected from those items, which are being sent to Quantico for testing. We will also process the subject's vehicle for evidence. The Cellular Analysis Survey Team, what we refer to as CAST, conducted thorough analysis of the subject's cellular device locations. The CAST analysis aligns with witnesses' account of the subject's presence at the scene both before and around the time of the incident on September 15th. More specifically, we're continuing to conduct analysis and will be compiling the subject's movements in the days and months leading up to September 15th. Cellular data shows that the subject was in the vicinity of the golf course roughly 12 hours before the engagement with the United States Secret Service. Our investigative teams conducted a neighborhood canvass in an effort to collect and obtain relevant video footage. The subject had an active online presence, and we are going through what he posted and any searches he conducted online. In addition, we're going through media reports and public statements he made that he wanted to recruit Afghan soldiers and others to fight for Ukraine. The FBI has sent multiple requests to companies for returns on the subject's phone and social media accounts. We received several returns and are waiting on additional responses from other companies as well. Our investigative team is completing analysis of the returns and actioning leads as needed, and we anticipate continuing until the FBI knows the full totality of the subject's social media presence. By way of his background, in 2002, as the United States Attorney mentioned, the subject was charged and convicted in North Carolina for possession of a weapon of mass destruction. Law enforcement checks also revealed that from 1997 to 2010, the subject had numerous felony charges for stolen goods. I can also share with you that he was the subject of a previously closed 2019 tip to the FBI where it was alleged he was a felon in possession of a firearm. In following up on the tip, the alleged complainant was interviewed and did not verify, I repeat, did not verify providing the initial information. The FBI passed that information to local law enforcement in Honolulu. On behalf of the FBI, I would like to thank the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office and Martin County Sheriff's Office for their incredible work in actioning the witnesses' information and rapidly apprehending the subject. I would also like to thank the United States Secret Service, the United States Attorney's Office for the Southern District of Florida, the Department of Justice's National Security Division, the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, and our FBI field offices in both Honolulu and Charlotte, who have been conducting additional law enforcement activity related to the subject. Your continued partnerships have been invaluable. Oftentimes in law enforcement, we tell citizens to be vigilant and aware of their surroundings. Yesterday, a citizen provided remarkable assistance, which led to the arrest of this subject. We appreciate the public's diligence in passing potential tips and information regarding the subject and this incident to the FBI. If you have any information, please call 1-800-CALL-FBI or go online to tips, that's tips.fbi.gov.
The last thing I will tell you is, like the director of the Secret Service says, you know, the president called me last night, President Trump. He thanked me for everything that we did along with the Secret Service. He knows we work great together, and he feels safe. That's important, because he is. And what we did yesterday proves that the system can work, because the suspect didn't even get close to getting a round off, and we apprehended him and brought him to justice.
Shout out to the Secret Service. They were on their job this time. Unlike the first assassination attempt, this soap opera is life or death for Trump. Yeah. Joshua says the world keeps hitting check boxes on making the Black Ops to campaign real by 2025. I think Mayor Kaz had some knowledge. He heads DHS, which control uses. Jim G says, I don't know about that. If they wanted the man dead, he would be dead. That's what I'm thinking. Like the first attempt, you know, he got him in the ear. If to me, and I'm with you, Jim G, if they really wanted him up out of here, he would be up out of here. So it's a lot of conspiracy thoughts. You know, you can raise the question whether or not Trump is actually behind it. You can raise that question, and I think that that's a legitimate question. Could Trump be behind this? You know, could he be behind this? No way. Even though I don't feel like he's behind it, but I will accept the question. If any of y'all feel that way, I will accept it, because you have to keep everything on the table. And, you know, because what you take off the table might be the missing piece to the puzzle. But it's strange. Why is all of this happening to Trump? Now, of course, we know the 34 felony counts. Trump ain't behind none of that, but it's just so much. Now, we could look at it like Trump is the Teflon Don. No matter what they throw at him, he's able to bounce back. He's able to bounce back when they think they got him. When you think he's about to crumble, he pumping that fist. Joshua says, or it can be to divide us more. It feels like they are poking the bear to me. it's something going on now. It's something going on, you know, and I can't just sit up here and overlook the things that is being done to this man. You know, it's nowhere in the world that I'm convinced that everything that's happening is Trump. No, I do believe that it's a conspiracy going on. I believe it's a conspiracy going on. Now, is the man innocent? Is he perfect? No. But the man don't deserve to have his life taken from him. I will say that. He definitely doesn't deserve to have his life taken from him. Nobody in this aspect deserve their life to be taken from them. I mean, like I said, if it was Kamala that was going through this, how would we feel? How would you feel? I'm sure many of you would be saying the same thing that I'm saying about Trump. Many of you would be saying, she don't deserve for anyone to be trying to take her life away from her. No, I don't. I think regardless of your political views, regardless of your religious background, regardless of your nationality, regardless of where you live, I just don't feel like your life should be in danger. I don't feel like your life should be threatened. I feel like in this country, and y'all can correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like in this country, you have the right of freedom of speech. That's just for me. So to try to take this man's life, to try to take Donald Trump's life, I mean, so I appreciate everybody for pulling up. I wish that I was able to get to the chat as much as I could. I'm going to take a few more comments, then I'm going to let y'all get out of here. Denethia salute. Denethia says, Trump is so childish. The Taylor Swift tweet, the Haitian comment, he did the same thing about Barack on the golf course and Biden on the beach. You reap what you sow, and that is Bible. And that's true. And that's true. My only thing, Denethia, now he did make comments. He did make those comments. I can't deny that. He made those comments. But does those comments warrant his life to be in jeopardy? Salute, Londa. I see you, Londa. Jim G says, we need a strong leader. If other countries stop, they could squash. Now, when we talk about a strong leader, what are we talking about? John the Baptist says Trump 2024. What are we talking about? What makes a leader strong? You know, what makes a leader strong? Is it the way that they act? Is it a no tolerance for BS? What makes them a strong leader? Alpha Men says, like Trump, I'll give Trump his flowers when it comes down to handling business. I give it to Trump. The other countries, he kept them on their toes. He kept them on their P's and Q's, because when Trump was in office, we didn't know if we was getting ready to go to war, because Trump was quick. What's my man over there in North Korea? Trump was quick to call his bluff. Right? So I do agree with that. Now, the question is going to be, if Kamala becomes the president, how will she do against the foreign countries? Will they look at Kamala as a joke? Will they look at Kamala as a pushover? Maybe because she's a woman? How is that going to work? Will she have to set an example? Will she have to make somebody out of an example? So, how will this go? I do believe that Kamala will be faced with some obstacles just because she's a woman. I will say that much. I think she's going to be faced with some obstacles just because she's a woman. Let's try her. Let's try her. Let's see if she's built for this job, because we all know the President of the United States of America is the most powerful person throughout the world. Once again, I appreciate everybody for pulling up. Salute. I will see everybody back tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern time. I might do a demonstration later on, I'm not sure. But I appreciate everybody for pulling up. If you didn't hit the like button, hit the like button for me. Salute. I'll see everybody back tomorrow.